Have you ever stopped and wondered if the history you were taught in school was just a carefully edited version of the truth? What if the biggest atrocities, the darkest conspiracies, and the most controversial facts were deliberately hidden from us? This is history's darkest secrets, the side of history that was erased, silenced, and buried, until now. Let's begin with one of the most disturbing covert operations in American history, Operation MKUltra. In the 1950s, the CIA launched a secret mind control program. The goal? To manipulate and break the human psyche using drugs like LSD, psychological torture, and hypnosis. These experiments were carried out on innocent civilians, hospital patients, prisoners, without their knowledge or consent. Some never recovered. Some were left mentally destroyed. Yet this massive abuse was hidden from the public for decades and only partially declassified in the 1970s. Now let's move to Congo, a genocide most of the world still doesn't know about. In the late 1800s, King Leopold II of Belgium claimed the Congo as his personal property. Under the pretext of bringing civilization, he ran a brutal rubber extraction system. Millions were forced into labor. If quotas weren't met, hands were cut off. Starvation, torture, and massacres followed. An estimated 10 million Congolese died, all to enrich one European monarch. But this atrocity is rarely taught in Western history classes. Next comes the Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921. Tulsa, Oklahoma had one of the most successful black communities in America, known as Black Wall Street. But after a false accusation, white mobs burned the entire district to the ground. Homes and businesses were looted, people were shot, bombs were dropped from planes. Hundreds were killed. Thousands were left homeless. Yet for nearly a century, this act of racial terror was left out of textbooks and public conversation. But America isn't the only culprit. Let's now travel to Japan's Unit 731, a horror beyond imagination. During the 1930s and 40s, Japan's military ran a secret facility where they conducted lethal experiments on prisoners, men, women, even children. Victims were dissected alive, exposed to extreme temperatures, injected with deadly bacteria, and used as human test subjects for biological weapons. After the war, many of the responsible scientists were granted immunity by the United States in exchange for their research data. These war crimes? Silenced. Forgotten. Hidden. And what about Galileo Galilei, the father of modern science? In 1633, he was arrested by the Catholic Church for claiming that the Earth orbits the Sun. Though we know now he was right, the Church forced him to recant under threat of execution and placed him under house arrest for life. The lesson? Even truth can be a threat when power is afraid. Let's talk about a dark chapter many still deny. Native American boarding schools. From the 1800s to the mid-1900s, the U.S. and Canadian governments forcibly removed indigenous children from their families and sent them to boarding schools designed to civilize them. Their language, culture, and identities were systematically erased. Many children faced abuse. Many never came home. Thousands of unmarked graves have been discovered, a silent testament to a cultural genocide that most school curriculums completely skip over. Then we come to Winston Churchill, widely praised as a wartime hero. But few mention the Bengal famine of 1943. While India starved, Churchill diverted food supplies elsewhere, even as his officials warned him of the catastrophic effects. An estimated 3 million Indians died of hunger. Churchill blamed the victims, saying Indians were breeding like rabbits. This too remains buried beneath layers of selective glorification. Let's look at Iran, 1953. Mohammad Mossadegh, Iran's elected prime minister, made a bold move. He nationalized the oil industry, ending British control over Iran's resources. In retaliation, the CIA and British intelligence launched a covert coup known as Operation Ajax, removing him and installing the Shah, a brutal dictator loyal to the West. This single event destabilized the region for decades and planted seeds for the Iranian Revolution. Yet most Western students have never even heard of it. Now, here's something that's downright chilling: Project Sunshine. In the 1950s, U.S. researchers secretly harvested body parts from dead infants to study the effects of nuclear fallout. The parents were never told. Samples of bones and organs were collected without consent from across the globe. All in the name of science. This horrifying truth remained hidden until a whistleblower came forward decades later. What do these stories have in common? In every case, powerful institutions, governments, empires, churches, use their control to suppress, distort, or erase the truth. And most of the time, they got away with it. Let's not forget Hollywood's role during the Cold War. From the 1950s onward, the U.S. government used films, media, and school drills to spread paranoia about communism. The Red Scare led to blacklists, ruined lives, and mass fear. Citizens spied on neighbors. Innocent people were accused of treason. Free speech was crushed. And all of it was wrapped in the language of patriotism and national security. How many school lessons dare to reveal this psychological warfare?